Χαιρετώ. Σε ένα special επεισόδιο, σε ένα ειδικό επεισόδιο, καθότι οι εξελίξεις τρέχουν ανά το παγκόσμιο, βέβαια η προσοχή όλων είναι στραμμένη πια στο Ιράν και στα όσα συμβαίνουν εκεί και βεβαίως θα κάνω μια πολύ ενδιαφέρουσα κουβέντα με τον πρέσβη του Ισραήλ. Ο κύριος Ανόλικ είναι μαζί μου. So, Mr. Ambassador, thank you for accepting my invitation.
Thank you for inviting me.
Let me start with this. First of all, it's a simple question. Why do you intervene military in a foreign country?
I will answer this. This is not a case of a country that is there and you're intervening in what they are doing. Iran and Israel have been in a certain kind of war for a long time now, for many years. The Iranians were actively trying to kill Israelis all the time through terror, through their proxies, through their missiles. Only last year alone, 2 times, the Iranians were shooting missiles into Israel. So this is not a case of intervening militarily elsewhere. We were in a very, very clear situation. We have a regime which is one of the most dangerous in the world, that has 2 things. He had a very clear will, and he stated it all the time that he wants to eliminate Israel, he wants to eliminate Israel off the map, and he kept on saying this, and they had capabilities that they were all the time improving and developing. So,
yes, but you can understand that it's not about what you're saying, it's about actions. Yes. And there is this thing we call international law.
Of course.
So, do you think that what you are doing in Iran, it's acceptable?
It's absolutely within
the terms of international law.
Absolutely in accordance with international law. We have
because
every
it seems
right,
that
according to international law, to defend ourselves and to protect ourselves. And if I go back to what I said before, Iran had the clear desire, which they stated, and they had the capabilities, and they were implementing this. It is not. Give me one second to finish the argument.
Yes,
please. And they were working in practice to materialize, to implement their plan.
But allow me to say that this is not quite accurate, because you were in the middle of talks.
Sorry, who was in the middle of talks?
Israel and Iran.
We were not in the middle of talks. Israel and Iran were not in the middle of talks.
You were talking about the nuclear program of Iran.
Israel and Iran were not discussing the Iranian nuclear program. The negotiation of Iran about their program is between Iran and the United States, Iran and the international community. We are not part of this negotiation.
Yeah, but there was a coordination between all these factors and players.
In no way is we are not compelled by this. It's not part of what we want to do. What we are seeing a regime who is pretending to negotiate, while at the same time building its capabilities to destroy us, to eliminate us. And they had it in several ways. First, the nuclear one. And if you look at what they did only in recent months while negotiating, that they have accelerated the amount of enriched uranium, 60% enriched uranium that the IAEA says has no civilian use, it's only for military use. And we know from intelligence that they were started to work on the weaponization.
Which intelligence?
That we have as you can see from
on their ground.
As you can see from the actions in Iran.
Because this is not acceptable as well.
Sorry, what is not acceptable? Gathering intelligence about the enemy who wants to kill you is not acceptable?
No.
Do you believe that Cyprus doesn't gather intelligence about its enemies?
To have special agents on Iranian ground.
I'm not sure I understand your question. Israel has been gathering intelligence on its enemies all the time, like any other country. This is part of life. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what happens in Cyprus, but you are gathering intelligence. As you can see by the results of the action, we seem to know what's going on in Iran. We seem to know what people in the leadership of Iran are doing and where they are. So we had very good intelligence that they've started working on weaponization as well. So we know what they are doing on the nuclear. On ballistic missiles, they had a plan to manufacturing 300 ballistic missiles every month. They wanted to reach more than 10,000 ballistic missiles that can reach deep into Europe, not just Israel. Why do they need so many ballistic missiles? What is the purpose of this? You can ask yourself. But for us, it's an existential threat. So the combination of the nuclear, together with the ballistic missiles, together with the intelligence that we have, about their plan, what we call the elimination or the destruction plan. They had a very clear plan. They wanted to eliminate Israel. They saw what Hamas did.
Wait.
One more sentence.
Yes,
Give me just 1 second.
Yes.
They saw what Hamas did on October 7th and said to themselves, that's a good idea. Why just Hamas? We can do a raid from all over Israel. We can do it with Hezbollah, with our Iraqi militias, with the Houthis, with Hamas. All of this together, they had a plan, an operational plan. This is not just, oh, I have an idea. This is what Iran was trying to do. We have a right to stay alive. We are not willing to say, oh, please protect us, the world, we are so miserable. No, we will protect ourselves. That's exactly what we were doing. And by doing this, we are helping so many others around the world.
Yes. So, if the nuclear threat disappears from the table, you will stop the actions on Iran?
This operation has four...
Because it seems to me that it's something much more bigger than the nuclear threat.
This operation...
Now I'm hearing that you're interested also about the regime and who is responsible in the country. So if this is the case, then it seems to me that you're a country that wants to decide who is taking decisions in another country. But you have no right to do that.
My friend, you can ask me a question, or you can make assumptions and based on them ask the question. It's fine. It's fine. But let me say a few things. This operation has 4 objectives. None of them is regime change. This is not the goal of this operation. There are 4 goals of this operation.
So you don't care about the regime?
Look, I wish, and Israel wishes, that Iran, the Iranian people, will be able to be freed from this oppressive regime. But there's a difference.
It's their decision.
It's their decision, which is not the goal or objective of this operation. It has 4 objectives. One was to eliminate the nuclear threat. The second one is to eliminate the ballistic missile threat. The third one is to eliminate this destruction plan of Iran threat. And the fourth one is to create the conditions for a different diplomatic solution based on a different situation on the ground that the international community will be able to reach with Iran to make sure that this elimination of the threat continues and stays on for a long period of time.
So if for example, Turkey start creating missiles and having nuclear weapons, you do exactly the same thing in Turkey because it's in the neighborhood and you feel as safe?
It's a hypothetical question, which is very hard to answer. Iran is a very unusual...
I'm trying to understand the way of thinking. Yes.
Iran is very...
And also you are a nuclear country, as you know.
Iran is very...
So how can you ask for a country not to be having nuclear weapons when you actually have exactly the same thing?
I will answer.
Yes.
Iran is a very unique and special situation. We need to start with this. Because Iran, and this is not the ambassador of Israel is saying, this is the international community is saying, this is the IAEA is saying, Iran, even though they are a member of the NPT, which Israel is not, just to remind you, are not following the obligation that they have. Therefore, there is a real suspicion that we know to be true, that what they're actually doing is building a nuclear weapon. They are building a nuclear weapon and they're saying they want to destroy Israel. This is not the situation with Turkey. So making this comparison, I don't think it's the right one. We do have a doctrine in Israel. We will not allow countries around us, our enemies that want to destroy us, to be in a situation that they can hold the kind of weapons that can destroy us. We did it before with Iraq in 1981. We did it with Syria in 2007, and now we're doing it with Iran. So if a country which defines itself as an enemy of Israel and says we want to destroy Israel is going to try and reach nuclear weapons, and if the international community would do nothing about this and they would violate their obligations, Israel will act according to its doctrine. We will not allow this to happen. And this has nothing to do specifically with Turkey, this is generally.
Yes.
As for Israel, first of all, Israel never said, well, let's put it the other way. We always say we are not going to be the first one to introduce nuclear weapons into the Middle East. Israel is not a member of the NPT. We don't have the same obligations as Iran has because it is a member of the NPT, the Non-Proliferation Treaty. So it's not a similar situation.
And they will change that.
And we never threatened anybody with using theoretical nuclear weapons.
Yes. So if Iran says that from tomorrow we recognize the state of Israel, the whole story is finishing. I'm trying to understand.
No, it's a question which is, again, totally hypothetical. We will be happy to have good relations with Iran. But what you are saying has no connection to any reality. This regime in Iran will never recognize Israel, doesn't want to recognize Israel. It has an ideology which is well known, a jihadist one. They want to export the Islamic revolution. They want the whole world to be Muslim.
What I'm trying to implement here is that the impression is that you have a bigger plan that you put in force 1.5 years ago, and from Gaza, then Syria, then Iran, then, I mean, this thing has to stop.
It's amazing what you're just saying. So we were attacked by a genocidal terrorist organization.
And it was completely wrong. Completely wrong.
And therefore we had a plan. So we initiated
to
be attacked.
You were looking for an excuse.
Looking for an excuse. So we wanted our people to be massacred to have this excuse. This is ridiculous.
Do you really care about human lives?
Of course we care about human lives. How do we know we care about human lives? Only yesterday we told the Iranians in Tehran, get out of your houses when we are going to attack a place in Tehran.
Not enough.
This is not enough. Do you know any other country who does this?
But if you do
you know any other country that cares so much about the enemy that it tells its citizens to get out of harm's way?
You're forcing me to take the conversation into Gaza. Because if we go into Gaza, what are you describing makes no sense. I mean, you cannot. We were having the same discussions 1 year ago. And yes, we could hear the argument about how wrong was what had happened in the 7th of October. But now it's a different discussion. Now we have a genocide.
No, we don't have a genocide.
You
are making assumptions that have nothing to do with reality. Of course not. I absolutely categorically deny this. Not true. And you are just echoing things that are being said about Israel, but even though they are completely false.
But it's not me who is telling this.
You're echoing it, and I'm answering to you.
But
completely
I'm
false.
Echoing it.
I'm categorically denying
from the court decisions, from the international law, from the European law. There is a warrant for your president.
Can I?
Yes.
Okay. You stopped with a certain question, and then you took it to Gaza. Let's end the question you asked before.
Agreed.
Okay?
Agreed.
But then we can take it back.
Agreed.
To Gaza. Back to the question. So it's not that we had any kind of a big plan of what we're going to do. We found ourselves in a situation that we need, first of all, to find a solution to the problem we had with Gaza. Let me remind you what happened then. What happened then was that Hezbollah started shooting on Israel. We told Hezbollah, don't shoot on us. We don't want to go into war with you. You remember this? You remember this? Mm-hmm. We don't want. What did Hezbollah do? Kept on shooting on us. Why? Because they wanted to support their friends. Mm-hmm. What was the result? The result was that there is no longer a serious threat from Hezbollah. Why? Because we had to take things into our hands a year after they started shooting at us. Mm-hmm. So you think that we had some kind of a scheme in our head to do this? We just look for an excuse? This is not serious. I'm sorry, it's just not serious. And then with Iran, the same thing. You think that we have some grand plan? No, our plan is that we want to stay alive, first of all. We don't want to be eliminated, okay? This is one. And secondly, we believe that there is a lot of hope in the Middle East. You know who is the biggest problem to get this hope in the Middle East? It's Iran. And what Iran is doing, and ignoring what Iran has been doing for the last 46 years is unbelievable. Because look at what they've been doing, and put aside the way they are oppressing their own people. It's not my issue. But look at what they're doing in the Middle East. Look at what they did to Saudi Arabia. Look at what they did to the UAE. Look what they're doing with the Houthis, with Iraq. Look at what Lebanon. You just name it. This is Iran. Why are you defending this regime so much? I don't understand.
I'm not defending.
I don't understand. So we took things into our hands because we want to live. We want to survive.
I keep wondering why everybody else doesn't act like your country.
It's an excellent question. It's an excellent question. There are a few reasons to this. One of these, very few countries, if at all, find themselves dealing with the kind of threat that we need to deal with. Very few countries find themselves in this situation. You know that. And we are a country that has no military alliance with any other country. We're not part of NATO, so we need to rely on ourselves to survive in a place that doesn't really like us so much. And there are those who understand that we are here to stay and decide to go and try to have peace with Israel. You can see it with Egypt or with Jordan, with the UAE and Bahrain, different relations. And there are those who think that they can still destroy us. Iran is leading them. Also Hamas. also Hezbollah, and see what the price that they are paying. So again, you are telling me, don't defend yourself.
No,
come to us, to the international community, to the United Nations, and speak a lot about what decisions can be done, and nothing happens, and we will die.
Okay.
This will not happen. We are not willing to die.
Okay, I can understand what you're saying. I have to remind you that we're talking in the United Nations for the last 50 years for finding a solution, and we cannot find a solution. But this is the way the international law operates. You're going to change the international law?
Do you feel there's existential threat to Cyprus?
No, I mean...
you're going to be eliminated?
Yes.
If you think this way, why don't you do anything about this?
It's a good question.
Okay.
It's a good question.
So we are doing something about this existential threat.
Yes.
We are not willing to live in a situation that they are going to kill us.
In 2025, do you think that the principle, my way or the highway, it's
not the principle.
It's the right path?
It's not the principle. International law gives you every right to defend yourself against annihilation. And this is what we are doing. You are portraying it as if we are being a rogue.
With you,
Let me finish the sentence.
Is it anybody else?
I'm answering all the questions. Let me just finish the sentence.
Okay.
We are acting in accordance with international law, even though we want to portray it as if we are a rogue country. We are not.
I'm not trying to do anything, Mr. Ambassador.
No, in your question, it's not you as Mr. TSOUROULLIS. It's you as you're echoing other claims of other people. Don't get me wrong. It's not a personal matter, not at all.
Yes.
What I'm saying is that you're echoing claims from others that we are a rogue country.
But let's agree on that. It's not others. Your leader cannot get out of the country. Why? Why he cannot get out of the country?
He can get out of the country.
No, he can't.
Yes,
he will be arrested.
He didn't. He went to the United States. He was not arrested. Again, you're trying to create a picture, which I understand where it comes from.
No, I'm not clear. I'm stating the facts.
The same organization, okay,
which organization?
The ICC, the International Criminal Court, is
Court
under sanction now by the United States because they think that the way they're acting is horrible. So it's more complicated than the picture you try to depict. If the whole world agrees about something and only Israel thinks differently, it's not this way. And, you know, we have a lot of issues with the ICC, a lot of issues with the ICJ. What you sometimes pretend it's a court. The ICJ is a political organization. It's not really a court. The person who was leading the ICJ, the International Court of Justice, is now the Prime Minister of Lebanon. It's a political mechanism that is being used politically by others to try to hurt Israel.
Yes, but
this is the situation. This is how we see it.
Yes, but allow me to say this. If a small country like Cyprus loses its faith to international court, to international law, how will exist? What we have to create nuclear weapons to find.
I'm not sure I understand the question. Why do you want to lose faith in international law? It's
because
up to you.
Because you're suggesting that they're not doing a good job, and because you don't like their decisions, you can choose a la carte. This I like, this I don't like, so it's not a good
Let's
court.
make a differentiation between international law as the law, okay, as it is written, which we want because we are a country, we're part of this system, and we believe in international law.
So you respect the United Nations.
International law. It doesn't mean that the way this is being implemented by the different organs, including the United Nations, and including the ICC, and including the ICJ, it doesn't mean that this is just, or this is right, or this is accurate, or even that this is legal. It's not the same thing. There's a difference between the principle and the way this is being implemented. And as you know, the United Nations, for example, there's an automatic majority against Israel. They can pass whatever resolution they want against Israel, and people will vote in favor of it. So we need to say, yes, we agree with you because there's a majority of countries that think this way. If the majority of countries want us to die, I'm sorry, it is not applicable for us. So we will not die just because others tell us, oh, we don't really care about what happens to you. This is where we see things. We are fighting to defend ourselves, to live in this very difficult region.
Have you tried to get into their shoes? I mean,
whose shoes? Whose shoes?
I mean,
Iranian shoes?
No. But if the majority of the world, I'm using your words, want you to die, why they want this? The majority, especially.
Question. I don't have a good answer. You can think about anti-Semitism. You can think about many things. You can think about interests. I don't know. And there's a difference between really want us to die and just saying, oh, we are so sorry that this has happened. But you shouldn't protect yourself because this is not nice. It's not the same thing. we are in a very unusual situation. And this is the thing that people don't understand. People think that we're like any other country. No.
No, people right now think, and I think it's quite reasonable to think like this, that you like being in wars, taking guns and getting into the countries. You don't like wars.
Of course not. Our aim is to reach peace. Peace with security, that we can live with our neighbors. This is why we have peace with Egypt. This is why we have peace with Jordan. This is why we try to have peace with the Palestinians. I remind you, all the agreements we had with them. This is why we try to have peace with Lebanon and with Syria and with many others as well, with EU, with Bahrain, with Saudi Arabia. We don't like to be in war, but we are under an attack. The fact that Iran...
The attack started at 7th of October? Or it
was much before that. This is an issue of
that was a trigger.
For what we are seeing, for the very unusual developments in the Middle East that we are seeing unfolding in the last year and a half, yes, October 7 was a trigger.
Yes.
It was a trigger. We were in a certain situation before that, and I think that we are in a different situation now. By the way, I think that if you try to look at it in a strategic way, and what is best for the interests of Europe, not just for the interests of Israel, I think that we are on the track for a better strategic situation for Europe as well. I think that the situation that gives Lebanon a new hope, that gives even Syria a new hope, that might give Iran a new hope, I think it's also good for Europe. So I don't think it's so bad. We are not trigger happy in this sense. I know you say, but you are involved in wars. Yes, but we are also faced with enemies that actively, all the time, are attacking us.
Actually, I believe that there are a lot of Israelis that think also the same idea, that they cannot stand another war in the country.
That's a misunderstanding. Let me try to put things into order. Israelis don't like to fight. Nobody enjoys the situation. But when we find ourselves in war, and again, war, if you take October 7, that was imposed on us, we know how to fight. And we know how to make the priorities in this case and what is more important. So when we fight, we want to win. But we would rather win, finish the war, and have peace. Look, eventually, one more sentence. Yes. If you look at the region, there are 10 million Israelis living. Out of them, 7.5 million are Jews. Okay, that 7.5 million are Jews. We are surrounded by about 300 million Arabs and 1 billion Muslims. We want to live in peace with them. This is the goal. It's the world around us that for many years, many of them said, we don't want you here. And I think that more and more of them changed their mind along those years. Not all of them. Maybe when we finish this chapter...
Change their mind or forced to change their mind?
Why? Who forced Egypt to change its mind? Who forced Jordan to change its mind? Who forced the UAE to change? Nobody forced them. They came to the conclusion that we are a strong nation and there are a lot of advantages in having good relations with us. And we can have this tiny place in this region too, that we can be called our home, and we can live together in peace.
So if what you are doing now, it's so clear and has so many benefits, why you don't have, up to now, any allies by your side?
What do you mean?
Who is acting?
What are we talking about? Talking about Iran?
Iran.
Look, Iran. On Iran, first of all, you can clearly see
You're by yourself
States,
up to now.
No, it's confused. When it comes to the military operation, we are acting on our own. As I told you before, we're not part of any alliance, any military. We know how to act. But I mean, clearly we have a strong backing for the United States. But also look at what European countries are saying. I didn't hear condemnation of Israel. People are going for de-escalation. Let's how to finish. But nobody is condemning us. You know why? Because they understand the threat from Iran. They understand what it is. And I tell you one more thing. All of those people out there saying, why Israel is doing this with Iran? They go back home and they tell their families, thank God for Israel, that they are doing for us what we didn't have the capability or the desire to do, but they are ridding us from such a huge threat, such a huge problem. Thank you, Israel. But they will not say it publicly.
Okay, so did you expect warmer support from Cyprus on your actions in Iran?
It's not a question of what I expected or not. What we are hearing so far from Cyprus is, I would say, expected. Cyprus, as you said before, a small nation, is very much concerned about its own security, and there's a concern that this in some way might spill over, and there's an importance about keeping Cyprus secure and safe, which I think is
Does she stand in favor or against your actions in Iran?
This is not a conversation.
It's not.
It's not a conversation. We're not asking them, are you supporting us in what we are doing? Because it's an unfair question even to ask. You need to ask a Cypriot politician, what does he think about this?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so you described the 4 factors about being in Iran, right?
The 4 objectives of the operation. Yes. Being in Iran is not an accurate statement.
Yeah. Yes. For your actions in Iran. So that means that you have to succeed, the 4 of them, in order to finish the whole story.
Yes.
No negotiations before.
There are clear military goals that needs to be achieved. And then I think we can find ways for negotiation as well.
And if this situation takes months or weeks?
Look, I don't know. I think that our aim is to try to keep it as short as possible, and there's no desire for any kind of a lengthy operation. I don't know. I don't know. I cannot measure it in time. But the idea is not to find ourselves in some sort of a prolonged war.
Mm-hmm. It's being said that in order to succeed 1 or 2 of your goals, you need to use U.S. weapons, U.S. missiles and bombs. Do you have any information, any kind of information that...
Well, anything that has to do with Americans, you should ask the American ambassador and not me. Mm-hmm. What I can say is, I think that we have demonstrated that we can be very creative in things that we do. And I strongly believe that we can find solutions to all of the technical issues in front of us. There are different ways to find, to eliminate nuclear program, and I'm certain that the IDF has a good plan to do this.
But, I mean, I'm trying to understand how you're going to eliminate the nuclear weapon. You will make it disappear, you mean? You will destroy it.
Yeah, the nuclear program has different ingredients and different sites. Some of them were already taken care of. The Natanz enrichment facility, I saw that the IAEA says that all centrifuges in Natanz are either destroyed or out of order. Good, we can check maybe this box. There are other sites as well that are part of the military nuclear program of Iran that need to be dealt with. One of them is, of course, the one in Fordo, which is buried deep under the mountain, and there's a need to try to find solutions for this as well. I'm not a technical expert. I don't know how to do it.
Yes, it's been, you know, the last 2 or 3 days, a lot of things are being said about the protection, the air dorm,
the Israeli air defense.
Yes. And if it's an Achilles wheel on that, yes, Achilles heel on that, because you have casualties, you have missiles entering the country. So it means that it's not completely successful, or even if it's successful, you're expected that you're going to have some casualties.
Of course. Let's be accurate here. No, and this was said to begin with. First of all, no air defense system is 100% guarantee. We knew it in advance. We knew that it's not 100%. It's an excellent system. We are successfully intercepting probably 80 to 90% of all the missiles, but it is not.
And we're talking about 3 different systems, yes?
We're talking about more than 3 different systems, but 3 different layers.
Yes.
But more importantly, when you think, we talk about the defense against missiles, it's not just the active way, meaning when you're using your own missiles or laser to try to read them. It's also the passive one, the fact that your population can go into shelters and be protected. It's a combination of these 2 that actually does the work. It's not that life goes on and there is like a shield and you can do whatever. No, life in Israel has stopped. No, the businesses are closed, people are at home, schools are closed as well, which brings me to the question before that we don't want to be a protracted war, but it's a combination of two that saves lives. If you are in a shelter, your chances to survive are very good. If the missile hits directly the shelter, like we saw that it happened in Petah Tikva, in the center of Israel 2 days ago, unfortunately, if it hits directly the shelter, you cannot survive. But if it hits close to the shelter defends you, protects you from the shock wave and from the sharpness. This is why we do have casualties. And by the way, the Iranian regime deliberately is targeting
civilians.
It's not a mistake. It's not, as we say, it's not a bug. It's a feature. They're deliberately trying to hit Israeli population to terrorize the population. We have several dozens people already that were casualties. I have to say it's much lower than what I'm hearing was the expectation, which is a good sign. And I think also you can see that they are shooting less than they intended to because we're doing a very good job in eliminating the missiles and even more important, the launchers.
Can you say when the whole operation will maximize the targets and
I don't know. I think we're talking about days
or weeks.
Days to weeks, but I don't know. I'm speedballing here. I really don't know. I don't see this being a prolonged war. I'm telling you once again, there's no way that you can keep a country for so long without the business working, without schools. So it cannot be a long war. How long? I don't know.
Why are you still in Gaza?
In Gaza, we had...
Because 1 year before you told me that one of your goals was to eliminate Hamas.
Nothing, in this sense, we are in the same principled situation. Also in Gaza, we have certain very clear goals, 3 of them. One was to eliminate Hamas as the ruling power in Gaza. We are doing a good job there. We've made a lot of progress. If you look at the leadership of Hamas, most of it was erased. But Hamas, unfortunately, still is the most powerful power in Gaza and still is the one running life in Gaza.
When you say eliminate Hamas, what are you talking about? I mean,
that Hamas
you have names and you will...
It's not just the name.
What?
It's not just the names. It's the mechanism, it's the organizations, it's the way ruling the life.
It's finished.
It's unfortunately not. It's degraded, it's much weaker. We can see, already now, you can see that there are different other players in Gaza that say that they don't want to. It's a good progress, but unfortunately, it's not eliminated yet. The second goal was to free our hostages. We still have 53 hostages. 20 of them are still alive that Hamas is not willing to free. And the third one was to create this situation that we are not there yet, but we're also making progress, that we will know that if we leave Gaza, we're not going to be attacked again by Hamas or by any other terrorist organization. These are the goals.
1.5 years ago, 1 year ago, we were having the same conversation about Gaza. I tried to ask you about the 20,000 back then casualties. And you got angry because I suggested... No,
I got excited.
Yes, because I suggested that 1,200 dead or captured people. What is the number that you will be satisfied?
So it seems if you haven't heard my answer last time.
No, I did.
No, because you're asking me the same question, as if it's a question of numbers. But it's not a question of numbers.
But the numbers are human lives, Mr. Master.
Of course.
Today is 50,000 on the other side. This is why I use the word genocide. It's how it's been described in the dictionary, what you are doing in Gaza.
It's not true. You are saying things that are absolutely not true. This is not the definition of genocide. It's not true. You had many more people that died in Sudan in the civil war. You call it genocide? No. Why? Because this is more popular. It's not true. Let's talk about one thing about this issue. First of all, I have to be very clear about this. Every civilian that is killed in this war is tragedy. And I'm sorry that it has happened. And we are not happy about this. It's to be very clear. There is not a goal There's no goal of killing as many people as possible in Gaza or killing people that are not involved at all. Our goal is to kill the terrorists. This is our goal. When you give me this number, and I want to say something about this number, I cannot give you another number, but I can tell you this number is probably not true, because all of those numbers are being given about what is called as the Ministry of Health of Gaza, which is Hamas, that has an interest in giving those numbers. But since I cannot give you another number, we're not going to go into this discussion. The fact that the international media is just adopting what the terrorist organization is telling them and say, these are the numbers.
This is your mistake.
Wait 1 second about our mistake.
But this
I'll
is
give you
your
a chance to
mistake.
mistake, but let me finish.
But why, I mean, you're not allowing journalists from the international media to get into the country. Why you don't allow them? You don't want them to see what is happening there. What are you afraid of?
All journalists that are in Gaza, are Palestinians that are afraid of Hamas. And they're doing what Hamas is telling them anyway. This is not the issue. And it's not important. Even if you have a journalist in Gaza, he doesn't know how to count the dead people. But you're taking to another, I'll go back to this, but let's finish the point you made before.
No, but let's stay on this because it's crucial. If I send today a crew member of my team to Gaza to see with his own eyes what is happening, you are allowed to the person to get into Gaza and see what's happening?
As far as I know, the answer is no, but I can double check it once again.
So why is no?
As far as I know, it's because of security concerns. But again,
this is not acceptable. I mean, because if you're so clear, let people go and see what is happening there.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
You know that Gaza has another border, yes? Not just with Israel, also with Egypt. How come you don't let the journalists go into Gaza also then? Mm-hmm. It's always so easy to put only the finger on us all the time, but it's more complicated than this. Honestly, I'm not familiar exactly with the reasoning behind, and I can check and get back to you. Mm-hmm. But can we go back to what you asked me before?
Yes.
Fine. The numbers. As I said before, each person that dies who is not a terrorist, it's a tragedy.
Women and children.
Women, children, also old men, also people that are not, it
yes.
happens. We are fighting a war which is a horrible war to fight. Why is it so horrible? Because Hamas, of course, doesn't want to fight us directly. So he hides within his own population. Hamas is happy. Unlike Israel, we are not happy. Hamas is happy when his own people are dying. Because for him, every person who dies is another possibility to put more pressure on Israel. This is why they put their people in the hospitals and in the schools and in the mosques.
Give us the chance to witness that.
So you think that I'm making it up? This is what they're telling me? Interesting response.
If it was in there.
So you believe Hamas?
No, I don't believe Israel. No. I have the same doubts with Hamas.
Same, because we are the same. There's no difference between the terrorist organization and a democratic country which is part of the United Nations. There's no difference. We need to believe in the same way. You know it, and you know it very well that what I'm saying right now is true. You know where Hamas is operating from. They haven't even hidden it themselves. They're operating from in the hospitals, from within the schools, from within kindergartens. You saw the pictures, you saw everything. You're just making this for the sake of the discussion. Fine, you can do whatever you want, but you know it's not true.
Mr. Ambassador, one of our jobs is to consider information and pictures, but we have to question that in the world we're living, because there might be fake news.
Yes.
So give us a chance to go and witness what is happening there.
I will send you to Gaza.
Okay.
I'm just saying I don't have this authority, but I will look into this. I promise.
Okay, I put the request down.
But why do you think that if you go to Gaza, you'll be able to see what I'm telling you? Because once you are in with Hamas, they will not let you do this. You don't understand this? Once you are in the area, territory that Hamas is controlling, I'll send you later on a very good explanation by a journalist who worked for AP, who explains how things are being covered by the media from the Gaza side. And this is all Hamas propaganda, and there's no journalist who can freely give any report from that side. But again, you want to make it about freedom of press?
Okay.
Let's make
so
it freedom of press.
You're denying that genocide is happening on the ground because of the numbers that are wrong, you say?
It's not just
it's not just the numbers.
I want to finish the point about the numbers.
That's why I
to the idea. First of all, among those numbers, there are plenty of terrorists, about 20, 25,000. I don't know the exact number, but a lot of them are terrorists.
So you question the number?
I do. It's not just questioning the number. You put them together. The child that was killed, unfortunately, and the terrorist. For you, it's the same. Because
no, it's not the same.
Yes, it is, because you told me 55,000. So it is the same for you. If you were genuine on this issue, you'd say, listen, Ambassador, I hear there's a report, but let me finish, please. I hear this report about 55,000. I know that 20,000, 25,000 are terrorists. So I want to ask you about the 30,000. But you didn't ask it this way. You made a theater. You said 55,000 because you want to
how I'm gonna learn about
you could do it differently. You know this. You can do that.
No.
Yes,
how
you
I'm
can.
going to find the
you
numbers?
You are an intelligent person.
But
there's
numbers,
a lot of information out there.
No, there's not.
Yes, and there's a lot of info. There's no conflict that's being covered as much as the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. I don't hear anybody cover the conflict in Yemen or in Sudan or even the... Forget, I don't want to speak about Ukraine, it's a different issue. You know there's a lot of information out there and you're just trying to do it differently. Now let's talk about... There is no intention, there is no policy. This has never changed. Because you know exactly, you're an intelligent person. If there was an intention for genocide, how come only 55,000 people died? How come? It makes no sense. You're a reasonable person. If there was a policy of killing Palestinians as much as possible, they are out there. There are millions of them sitting together. How difficult can it be? But there is no policy. There is no strategy of this sort. This is a lie that is being...
So what is the strategy?
The strategy, I told you before, at the moment is we are operating very slowly with our military, trying to eliminate the Hamas control of Gaza. You know, the war can be finished tomorrow. You know that also. You also know this. Wait. It can be finished tomorrow if Hamas put down their arm and say, we surrender. We don't want to keep this fighting because our people are dying. And we know we have no chance of winning Israel. No chance at all. But if we continue doing what we are doing, more of our people will die. They don't do it. Why? Because they don't care.
Yes, but if you're thinking that you're going to eliminate up to zero Hamas,
no,
it's a dream.
No, that's not what I said. We are not trying to kill each and every
because
last
you know
Hamas.
very well. Because you know very well that you're creating now Hamas 2.1.
And again,
every family among those 20, 30, 40, choose a number. For me, if it's 1 or 50,000, it's exactly the same. But 50,000 is not acceptable as a number, you say. So, why this is happening right now?
Once again, we are repeating the same thing.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are. The war can be finished tomorrow. Hamas need to say, we understand the situation. We understand that what we are doing, Hamas, brought about a disaster to our people, and we want to stop this disaster. It doesn't happen, and I don't hear voices calling on Hamas to stop the war, unfortunately, even though it should be. This is one. Secondly, about this Hamas 2.0.
But who to talk about? Is there now an authority so-called Hamas?
There was a resolution that was passed in the United Nations only this week. You know that? You know what word was not in this resolution?
Terrorists?
No, Hamas. Hamas was not mentioned, as if it doesn't exist. There's no condemnation, no, only calling about Israel. This is part of this hypocrisy. Now,
but maybe because all the world now, after 1.5 years, believes that you eliminate Hamas. There is no one to talk.
My job is to try to expand the situation, and this is what I'm doing here. We are eliminating Hamas again as the ruler of Gaza, which is not about reaching each and every Hamas supporter.
Okay.
That's not the point.
So if we don't agree on the numbers, I hear you. You put your arguments.
It's not just the numbers.
No,
it's a strategy.
There is a strategy,
and it's the policy and it's the intention.
Okay, you know that I'm accepting because I want to discuss with you. I don't know if you think that I'm a member of Hamas, but this is another.
Okay, come on.
But let me ask you this. Okay, how about the humanitarian help?
Yes. Well, how?
Why it doesn't get to the people?
Well, two things. The system in which humanitarian assistance was getting into Gaza helped Hamas control Gaza. It was a failing system.
Who decided this?
We see the realities on the ground.
But you cannot take actions because you feel, you think, you recognize,
let me surprise you. We can and we do. That's what we do because again, for us.
But this is not acceptable.
For whom it's not acceptable?
For the whole world.
No, again, it's not true.
Because we are living in a world with principles.
And here is the reality, because reality eventually is what you need to live with. The system was failing. Why was it failing? It was failing because it helped Hamas stay in power. That's what happened, because Hamas took some of it to itself and replenished its own stocks. Hamas was the one that was selling it to the people for high prices, and instead of actually making its way to the people that need it, it made its way to Hamas. By the way, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, just as an example, when some Palestinians discovered a storage of flour that was held by Hamas, and they wanted to take the flour, you know what happened? Hamas shot them. Hamas shot Palestinians who wanted to take flour to feed their families. So we have decided to change the system, and there's a different system in place now, which is still developing, in which the aid goes directly to the people. They come to those distribution centers, they take the assistance, and this is how we know it doesn't get to the hands of Hamas. Now, this is not enough for all of Gaza. This is not enough. So this is why at the same time we allow also trucks to come in, go to the hands of the United Nations and be distributed. One more sentence. Just so you would know, there are still truckloads on the Palestinian side in Gaza waiting for the United Nations to come and deliver and distribute them. But if they take the time, I don't know why. We don't want people not to have humanitarian aid. That's not the issue.
What is the first word that the people will tell you if you go to Gaza today? I'm keep reading that the first word is food. They're starving.
They're not starving.
They're not.
Don't get me wrong. Look, I'm not saying, oh, situation in Gaza is wonderful, go and have. No. But there's no starvation in Gaza. This is, again, a faulty way of describing the situation. There are problems. There are maybe some points that humanitarian is not sufficient to get more. There's no starvation in Gaza. No one in Gaza died out of starvation. Not a single person died out of starvation. There are issues sometimes with the supply. Maybe it takes more time. There's no starvation in Gaza. You know, there was this UN official, your favorite, who said, within 2 days, 14,000 babies will die in Gaza out of starvation. Not a single one died. But you hear him retract this lie, this fabrication? You don't hear them say this. They are very quick, because they are so humanitarian, to come out and blame Israel. You don't do this, you don't do it, people are dying. The reality is different on the ground. This is the situation. It's not a good situation. Don't get me wrong. It's a horrible situation in Gaza. Horrible. And I pity those people that found themselves in a situation. You know why they found themselves in a situation like this? Because of Hamas. He's the one to blame. He brought it upon them, the situation. No one else did.
But it seems to me that you have people in a room, you keep shooting them, not aiming on them, but shooting them. All the doors of the house are closed. So where should they go?
I'm sure you heard President Trump, who spoke about his vision for the Gaza Strip. We still believe that if there are people...
You don't want to hear my opinion about what he said.
Not again, let me finish the sentence.
Yes.
We believe that if there are people that want to live, and if there are countries that are willing to accept them, we should let it happen. But these are the conditions.
But it's their land.
I'm not telling them to leave. You asked me, where would they go? You asked me, where would they go? And I'm telling you,
they want to stay there.
So
wait.
You asked me how would they live, and I said, so they can stay.
Wait.
I'm not saying stay.
Why they want to leave?
Mr. TSOUROULLIS,
why I'm asking,
decide what you want to ask me. You want to ask me why don't they leave, or why do they stay? It's two different questions. Decide what you're asking me.
Let me put the sequence of the question. I ask you, where should they go? Because they have to leave. Why they have to leave? Because their life there is under danger.
And my answer
why is under danger? Because of your country.
And it's not because of Hamas, once again, not because of my country. And once again, I'm answering you. First, those who want to stay, stay. I'm not even
stay and not having food, water,
stay
electricity.
In the humanitarian area that you are right now, in the situation.
But it's not enough.
In the situation.
It's not enough.
Again,
they're packed.
Again, I'm not there to develop Gaza. I'm there to fight an enemy who attacked me. Unfortunately, people are suffering because of this.
You are not there to steal their land.
No, you are not. Can I remind you once again that we left Gaza in 2005? We forgot about. Okay, we don't want to be in Gaza.
Because you left in 2005, it means that you're going to live today.
We don't. Yes, so we leave Gaza again. We don't want to take Gaza. That's not the point at all.
But when?
when the war
When you will kill everybody there.
No, when the war will be over. We're not trying to kill everybody there. When will the war be over? When Hamas says, I had enough. I don't want my people to keep on suffering.
Okay, and if Hamas, which is the evil, which is anything, put any word you want, decided that they are not going to leave, you're willing to sacrifice everybody else because of Hamas?
No, we're not sacrificing everybody. And once again, you are making wrong assumption. We will continue the operation and we will get to what we need to get without killing everybody, because this is not our goal. Once again, we don't want people to die. We don't want people to die. And once I'm going back to your question though, those who want to stay, stay. Yes, it's not a good situation. I'm sorry. You know, there are many other places around the world the situation is not good and people are staying there. Those who want to leave, and this is, you didn't take me on this part, there are countries who are willing to accept them. Ask yourself, where are all those countries who are willing to accept them? Do you hear them saying, I'm willing to accept the Palestinians that want to go out? Where are they?
I have to,
so you're blaming me, not letting them leave, but nobody wants to take them.
No, I have to be fair with you. I'm keep listening to arguments like they have to stay because they will protect their land. If they stay, they will not get back. We cannot get so many people. Yes, but the number one right of the people is to stay on their land.
I'm not disputing this.
But you're making their life miserable and very difficult to stay there.
Their life, unfortunately, are miserable and difficult.
Because of Hamas.
Because of Hamas.
Yes, but you are not.
Their lives could have been very different.
But you are the hand of the God.
Am I in the hand of the God?
Yes.
Not that I. Last
so
time I checked.
If we agree.
Do I need to stop what I'm doing?
We agree that Hamas is everything you say.
Yes.
Okay. So, in order to cut this evil, we will kill.
So we will continue what we are doing, while supplying or facilitating assistance to the community.
How can you say that you will continue what you are doing?
Because the
whole world is telling you that what you are doing is wrong.
Again, what is with this whole world that you're using all the time? The whole world can say what we want to do is make sure that we can keep on living.
I don't accept this.
You cannot accept it, but I'm telling you the answer.
If the Iran discussion was fair in order to exchange arguments, okay? Here in Gaza, nobody can hear you saying that I'm going to finish the job and then I'm going to leave. Because you have 50,000 casualties there.
Again, 50,000. They're doing the same thing again.
Can we agree on a number? No, you cannot.
Are you counting the terrorists as part of the casualties? Because why don't you count the Israeli casualties as well? Why do you count on the Palestinians? Why do you count those people that came and massacred the house? You also
give me a number and I will keep
take what number what you want.
No, I will referring to your number.
Take what number that you want. Doesn't matter.
But I'm trying to be fair. And you don't. I mean, I'm telling you. Give me a number. You don't. Let me go there and check by myself. You don't. So. What is your suggestion?
But what is the point you are trying to make?
That you have to get out of the country.
First of all, it's not a country.
Get out of the area.
We don't need to get out of the area. This is the mistake. We need to finish what we are doing to make sure that we can continue living in peace without being attacked. And we will do this. And then we would leave the area.
But this is not realistic. Because...
Says who?
I ask you, do you believe that by doing for another couple of years the same actions, you will get Hamas to zero number?
That's not the goal. Get Hamas to zero number. The goal is to make sure that Hamas is not ruling Gaza. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. If we will never get to zero Hamas, like we never got, like there's never zero ISIS or never zero Al Qaeda. There are always people that, fine. But again, for me, the equivalent to understand where we are is Nazi Germany. The Allies didn't kill all Nazis to be able to eliminate the Nazi party from ruling Germany. This is the goal here as well. We will get to a situation that Hamas is not ruling Gaza anymore. We get all the hostages back. And once again.
In your opinion, who has to rule Gaza?
I don't know. Because
you don't have a plan?
I'll tell you in a different way. Whatever thing I will tell you right now, whatever I would say Muhammad, I would say Ahmed.
I don't need a name.
You know what happens then? It will never happen because I said so, because Israel said so. So I'm not going to say who is going to do it.
Who is going to decide?
I think in this case it should be the international community.
You see, when it's in benefit of you, you choose international community. And when international community declares something that you don't like, you say that.
I will explain, because on this issue, I don't think that I can be the one who says who's going to rule Gaza. It's not for me to say.
And if the international community says something that you don't like or you don't agree?
Depends what they will say.
Then you're going to stay there.
Wait, if they would say Hamas, we will not agree. If they say another terrorist organization, we will not agree. But if it's not a terrorist organization, I think we can find a solution.
Are you not alarmed by the fact that the prime minister of your country is facing war crimes?
Alarmed is not the right word. I regret it. I think it's a totally misguided, wrong decision. But I think you should ask him how he feels about it. It's not so much me.
Yeah, but it tells something about your actions as well.
No, I think it tells more about the organization who made this decision, which again under sanctions now by the United States.
So, how important is public diplomacy?
I'm here, and
yeah.
So I think it's important
in times of regional tension.
Look, public diplomacy is always important in times of tension, in times of peace. It's important, public diplomacy. There's no doubt about it. This is why I'm being paid my salary, part of it.
And do you believe that Cyprus can play a role as a bridge, either
between whom? Between whom? Bridge between? I want to understand the question.
Israel and Iran, Israel and Palestinians.
I think you should ask Cypriot politicians this question, not me.
Is there any room, any space for diplomacy? You told me about Iran, but in Gaza issue?
Look, I'm a diplomat. I strongly believe that eventually any military operation cannot be concluded and finished without a diplomatic agreement. Okay, you have to have diplomacy at some point. When is this point? Who needs to be involved? I'm not sure that I'm in a position to answer this question right now.
Sure, you cannot give me also a prediction about how this thing will end.
I wish I could give you a prediction. I can't. But I want to tell you that I am...
Do you feel the isolation of the whole world?
But I want to tell you that I'm even more optimistic now than I was in our previous conversation about the future of Israel and of the region.
You are more optimistic?
More optimistic. I think that the realities created on the ground, a lot of it because of Israel's actions, create the platform for a different Middle East, a more peaceful one, the one that I can see, I'm not sure it will happen, I can see not just agreements now between Israel and Saudi Arabia, which is a possibility, but also Lebanon becomes now a possibility, which wasn't there before. Maybe the new Syria can be a possibility that wasn't there before. Maybe if Iran is so much weakened, maybe also in Iraq there'll be some changes as well. There could be a different future. I don't remember a more optimistic period for this region than it is right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and if you're fighting Hamas, and you're fighting also the Iran regime, shall I call it?
Yes.
The Iran regime. Why do you have problems of saying things about Turkey?
I don't think we put him on the same level. Turkey is not our enemy.
It's not, although it supports both of the previous situations that I've talked to you about.
I didn't say Turkey is our friend, but there's a big difference between not being our friend and being our enemy.
Imagine what will happen if other countries will follow your example. Then we will not have a united nation.
It depends on what you define as our example, because I think there's a difference between what you define as our example and what I define as our example. My example is that if you have a country which is under a severe threat, which is not just theoretical, it's a practical one that is being implemented for many years already, and it finds itself with its back to the wall and needs to do something to prevent its annihilation, I would think that any other country in the same situation should do something to defend itself against this situation. So I don't think it's such a terrible example. I just don't think there are many other countries in a situation like ours.
Okay. One last statement. Because it's been an hour arguing. Yes.
Arguing. Okay. I'm not
exchanging ideas.
You're asking questions and I'm answering. It's not an argument between us.
Yes. So, next time we're going to meet, let's hope that the whole thing will be finished.
You know how they say in our region? Inshallah. Inshallah, I sincerely share this hope as well. I want to see it finished as well in a good way. By the way, good way will be also good, I think, for Europe and for Cyprus as well.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.